Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eSports Report. Chris Puckett here in the booth with Mr. Benson. And Ben,
Hey.
I was out in a meeting. You pulled me out of the meeting.
I had to. I'm sorry.
With some breaking news. I'll give you a minute to get everything ready on that monitor real quick. But if you guys don't follow all of the pro players on Twitter, you're doing it wrong. Lots going on today. You need my login?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're so bad at this.
I know. I
you're
really
so
am.
bad. I got you. I'm gonna take
just,
care of
by
this.
the way, nice hoodie.
Thank you.
It's very fluorescent.
You know,
You're
I
on
actually
Underarms,
had a
too.
meeting this morning about giving away these hoodies.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Ah, how's that going?
We're gonna do one
You're
on.
gonna give away a Pomage hoodie?
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil too much because I got all these,
You
all these plans.
You got
and
stacks and
stuff.
stacks of hoodies? Is that what you're trying to say to the people?
You know, we actually just did a whole new run. Pomage sells out. Look at this. I
I
feel like a superhero.
I want
in
one.
this.
He isn't
I
giving
feel
me one.
taller, better looking, more confident in my sniper ability. All of those things. Okay, so we filled enough time for Ben to get it loaded on the computer. It's time to
Apologies.
bring you the news. Real quick, Will, for YouTube's sake, give me a black slate. And bring me back. All right, guys, welcome back to the eSports Report. Puckett and Benson here at the desk with some breaking news version 2. Let's go, Ben.
Oh, you
What
make me
is
laugh.
the update?
So I just had to pull you out of your meeting because Optic Nation have released MBoze, and there's an official statement on the Optic Gaming website. Here's one from Mr. Hecz. He says, MBoze will be stepping down as the captain of Optic Nation. Chemistry within the team demanded that a change was needed, and the team and organization mutually agreed that this was the best decision for the team. MBoze will remain at the Optic House and will continue to entertain his fanbase via his live streams and YouTube videos. In the meantime, MBoze will be searching for a new team to compete with for the remainder of the season. For the time being, Optic Nation will be utilizing Sinful, who Optic Nation picked up as a substitute for Season 1.
Wow. MBoze, the captain. A man who helped this squad finish top 4 multiple times in Ghost. He was a part of the Optic Gaming crew that performed so well at the Call of Duty Championships. Taken off of his squad, and he will be looking for a new team. Now, of course, that mentioned chemistry, and they're not talking about anything in-game. I mean, out of game. They're talking about these guys still had great relationships. This is purely an in-game decision. Too many objective players on this squad. They needed a Slayer. We've talked about it time and time again on the eSports Report. It looks like Optic realizing that, making the move.
Yeah, I feel it was necessary. Myself and Matt were talking about it yesterday because for any of you that missed it, in the league games, Optic Nation decided not to play with MBoze last night. They actually played with Sin instead of MBoze, and no one really knew why. MBoze didn't tweet anything. He wasn't saying, oh, you know, I'm ill or I have other priorities today. Just kind of happened. It was tweeted, and then they went a pretty better performance, 1-1. Which considering you were 1-5.
1-5.
Right.
If you get your second win, you're doing good. And honestly, their second match went to Game 5. The one that they lost went the distance to Game number 5. So Karma, TP, I mean, they definitely know they can get the objective done with TP on this squad. Proofy was really surprising me, especially on connections, solid connections. Proofy could drop 40 bombs, almost 50 bombs at times. I'm not worried about this team for anything other than one thing, and that was slaying. We talked about it during the 5K and the 2K. I think now with the addition of Sin, you got that slaying. You got a guy who can post up some serious numbers. Is he the long-term solution? I'm not sure, but for Season 1, this is probably the best roster they can put together.
I don't know.
Who's their second substitute? Is it Felony?
Second sub is, Wait, it is Felony.
Yeah, Felony and
it is
Sin.
Felony. It's Felony and Sin. So, I mean, they can have those two to go, but I don't see them picking up Sin or Felony as a permanent option.
Neither do I.
That's just not going to happen. You got Karma, two-time world champion, TP, world champion, Proofy, who's just historically one of the best assault rifle players to ever grace the Call of Duty franchise. They're going to go after someone, I think, who may surprise a lot of people. I have some thoughts in my head as to who. I don't know anything official.
Mike,
but we
18
have
years
predictions.
old and older. Okay. COD champs. I'm thinking
Has to be
$1 million
18 and
tournament.
older. You're thinking, who are you going to win $1 million tournament with? Let's be honest. First of all, this is Optic Nation. They can pretty much get any player they want.
You want to know the first name that came in my brain?
Who?
Cuke, and then I was like, nope.
Too young.
Doesn't
Right, too young.
Doesn't reach that age limit.
I'm thinking there's a couple of players that going to get poached. Roster Mania is 100% going to complete.
Oh yeah, this is the start. Now, fortunately, we're in the league and we're locked. You have up until I believe it's January 20th, maybe. It might be as late as January 20th. It might as early as January 2nd. Right. I'm not 100% sure to add subs on your roster, but don't be surprised if this is a move that initiates a whole new cycle, because we got UMG Orlando less than 3 weeks away. Right. That's coming up January 2nd. I'm
thinking potentially this may go completely out there. This is definitely an option, which I think the players on Nation may talk about, because this is a kind of tight-knit group of people. You got TP, Karma, and Proof. You know, these are all really good friends. Swanee, definitely a possibility.
Yes.
He's a free agent right now. We know that he was looking to come over to North America. That'd be a huge step for him. I'd be very surprised if Nation hadn't maybe thought about that.
The Swanee move would be enormous.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. You know,
it's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. It took me 11 months to hire Benson. 11 months to get a visa from start to finish to hire Benson.
It can be tricky. That's true.
So unless they're going, you know, a little bit guerrilla style and trying to do these short sprints of Swanee being in the NA, which they could.
But let's think of it this way. If we just talk about Swanee, this is a guy who played with the Italian team Inferno. It was Inferno? Inferno at COD Champs.
Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2. Yep. And he managed to get them a top 8 placement.
Yeah, I think it was Fear who finally knocked him out.
People always seem to underestimate this guy's ability. I mean, he got that amazing 1v3 against Envious at Ghost COD Champs. A lot of people remember that.
Filled in for Vitality with a week's notice.
Yeah, and then Nameless, of course, he got a massive clutch. He actually clutched against Swanee too, which is... Let's not mention that.
Anyway, yeah.
Swanee.
Ignore that.
But, I mean, Swanee, he's a fantastic player. He really is. Even at Columbus, when he was playing at Vitality, he was getting some massive plays and some big clutches. It was really nice to see him there as well. I know he was looking for a North American team, or potentially going into the back end of eSports, maybe the analysis side. That's from all the conversations I've had with him.
Yeah.
But I know his dream is to come out to North America. Whether that will happen, not too sure, but that's definitely a name which immediately came to my mind. I imagine the chat are like, oh no, maybe I'm lost, whatever.
Can we get some tweets coming in? I need to see your guys' tweets. Who do you think is Optic Nation's new pickup? If you could fill in a permanent fourth to join Proofy, Karma, and TP, who do you put on that roster? Keep in mind, Season 1, you got to be playing with your subs. You can't go outside of that box.
To everyone saying Huke, that's not going to happen. Age, as we discussed. See, the chat was filling it with, oh, Optic Huke, this is his chance. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
No way. He's too young, not going to be able to play at COD Champs. And you have to realize, for these players, that's like the big tournament, right? It's your World Series, it's your Super Bowl. That's what you're playing for. Karma's trying to put a third ring on his finger. Like, he's not going to team with someone who is under the age limit.
Which finger would it go on? His ring,
I don't know. I was
ring
thinking about that. I would just put like 3, just like straight across my left hand, and I would play
like
games.
A Sons of Anarchy style?
Yeah, like, bam!
I like
3 rings. It'd be pretty cool. Potential players, someone from Envious. Envy, who kind of struggled a little bit. Obviously, a lot of Envy players already have history with Optic. Of course, Merc, JCap.
Clayster, just get cut to the chase. Clayster. Clayster is the only option if you're Optic Nation that you look at Envy and you think of poaching.
With that team?
Yep.
Honestly, I would say more like Merc.
Why another objective?
So
why
the reason
an objective the same reason that you're getting away from MBoze?
The reason I would say that is more for the leadership role. Clayster as well. They're both, for me, they're both valid options. Clay, I would definitely favor above Merc, but I'm saying there's definitely more than one option when you're going it. Clay, definitely. He's already been a part of Optic, just recently released, went to Envy. He's definitely another thought. Saints as well.
Denial isn't breaking up. We saw Saints get the opportunity to play with Optic Gaming.
That's
not
true.
Optic Nation, Optic Gaming.
That's a valid point.
He left that, went back to Denial.
You know who else I'm thinking? Enable.
Ooh, Enable. There's already some chemistry. Flame Sword, Enable, old bros back in the Halo days.
To Optic House, he has his bro there. That's definitely something you would think about.
And Enable, he's not tied to Justice too tightly. Remember, this is a guy who got put on Justice about 2 months ago.
Right.
It was formerly his Curse Squad. He lived with these guys, big ties there. But then that whole situation exploded. So Enable definitely.
I really think he could have some potential on that team as well. Because I've been saying
you go for Enable over Moach in that situation?
Yeah.
And do you go Enable over Classic in that situation? Yep. I was going to say Slacked, but I think Slacked, is he old enough for COD Champs?
I think he's 17.
I think he's 17, so he's on that bubble. Because Slacked, if I'm looking at this team right now, I'm Slacked first.
See, I would want to have someone that has a winning mentality, though. Enable has won multiple championships on Halo. Admittedly, never really broken it into COD, but this definitely, if he's going to have a year, it's going to be on this game.
outpaced Enable. He's outplaced him.
Yeah, but I would still have Enable who has a winning mentality. Like, trust me, living with Enable when he was playing with the Curse guys, the mentality of him compared to everybody else, because none of them had won in COD, was very, very different. He still has that kind of winning mentality. He's like, guys, it's teamwork, it's communication. And that's something I think that Optic Nation trio definitely would appreciate. So whether that could happen, who knows? Who's in the back of your mind, though? I've given you spitballed some names. Anyone stand out for you? I know you said Clay.
Dito, Neslo, not sexy picks. Nothing I'd be surprised by Optic Nation, though.
Write these down.
So, because I'm instantly thinking, okay, who is outside of the league? They're not locked up right now. Who could I potentially try and get to play with me as often as possible? The first team that comes to mind is Strictly Business currently.
That's true. Yes, you got Bizzup. What about potential Big Timer?
No.
No? You don't reckon
I
he's
see
gonna
Big
return?
Timer streaming. I don't see Big Timer playing full-time.
Okay, so we'll just cross him out. I'm kind of with you on that one. I think it'd be awesome to see him return, especially with that team. It would be pretty cool.
The chat is spamming Hecz. If I know anything about the Optic Hecz rivalry, it's not happening. Then again, I never thought I'd want to be in the same room as Pat Price after some of his tweets last season. He seemed to have totally matured and turned all of that around since being humbled. EG's destruction, his rebirth and phase, he seems like a new guy.
So there's two things to note really about Hecz. Hecz is a very, very loyal player to the team he's currently on. Think about how many times you've ever seen Hecz join a different team. It's hardly ever happened.
Yeah.
It's very, very unlikely. Plus, you already played with TP and Karma. That dynasty is broken up. I can't see that being revitalized. It would, on paper, be an amazing...
Karma, TP, and you saw the way Hecz was playing. Broken. A healthy Hecz plus his old championship teammates back. That's the best option you have. Also, if you're Optic Nation, you just take out one of the biggest players in the game.
Eliminate
FaZe,
the threat, right?
Who is #1 in the COD League right now, in the Pro League. They sit at that #1 spot. You take out their top player, the biggest threat is gone. But you can't make this move until end of February.
Right. But yeah, you'd be thinking about it, you'd be talking about it, you'd probably prepare, because ultimately these guys, as I said, preparing for COD champs, they're going to want to be as prepared as possible. In all honesty, the best move that they could do would be to take Hecz, because as you said, it eliminates the competition, essentially, because, I mean, Hecz just looks so good at FaZe. FaZe would still be a good team, don't get me wrong, but you take Hecz away from that team, and they lose a massive, massive, like, chunk of that team. They really do. The big issue for me, though, when we look at that move would be Karma. If you think back, when Karma's tried to play with past teammates, simply has not worked. You know, he tried teaming with Parasite again, failed. Killer, Miracles, just couldn't do it. Would he go back to that EG lineup? I don't think he would. I really don't. I see him having some massive issues with that, even though on paper it could be the best thing to do.
I go Slasher. I want to keep Hecz at distance. I want to keep him as a rival, but I try and steal his best asset. I think Apathy could be that guy that is kind of their backbone. I think Slasher is the flash that Optic Nation needs.
But I think we have to start thinking about team chemistry at that point. I don't think Slasher would fit in with TP Karma and Proofy. I think gameplay-wise, 100%, that's a good move. But for the chemistry of those three players, I think in the back of their mind, they're thinking of like select players. They're going to have like a list which they think are...
It just came to my brain.
Ew, don't say
Sender, welcome to Optic Nation.
All right, explain that one to me.
Okay.
Okay.
You got a guy who's willing to grind every day.
100%.
A vocal leader.
Yep.
You have someone who is ridiculously good online.
True.
Extremely talented online. He's the one guy that everyone says, I can't kill this guy. I don't know if I saw a tweet from JCap. I don't know if it's a mental block or if there's something really happening. I can't kill Sender. He's only 19, 20 years old. He's old enough for COD champs.
Right.
He's willing to relocate. He quit his former job to become a pro player this year, take it full-time seriously. I know he's kind of that guy who may have gotten some stuff from pros in the past, kind of trying to knock him down a few blocks, saying you're not the real deal. He's proved he's consistent. He's proved it to me. He's proved it to the pros. He's a name that not anyone was saying back in Call of Duty Ghost.
Right.
And now he is on the tip of your tongue. Happy would be another option there, but I think Sender is the smarter pick from a veteran standpoint. They think Happy, he might just be a flash in the pan. Maybe he's just going to be good for the first 2 months. I think center is a long-term decision.
Too risky, I feel. Also, to everyone in the chat, I see you guys saying Killer Miracles. They're a duo. They're always going to be a duo, I feel, for a very long time. Think of it as Hecz and TP.
Yeah.
They're not splitting up. Plus, they've both had stints in Optic Nation. We know how that ended with Killer. We saw the tweets from MBoze, if you guys remember. Apparently, he just up and left. Didn't really tell anyone about that.
Peace, Optic Nation.
That's not happening again.
Yeah, I was honestly, in that house during that Killer
That must have been kind of awkward. I'm not going to lie.
That was like, is he serious?
Yeah, like, is this a joke? What's going on? The more I think about it, though, and this may kind of shock you, I think Neslo would be a really good pick in that team. I really do. From a leadership point, from a vocal point, from a height point, from a sheer slaying point as well.
Have Karma and Neslo ever played together?
I don't think so.
Because I can see those personalities creating a nuke.
Right. There is that potential.
Which, like one of them is silently building this nuke until it blows up on the team.
I mean, that's the thing you have to think about whenever you think about team chemistry is there's players who on paper you're like, that's brilliant. But personality-wise and how you're going to get on a team, never
Zuma.
No. No, I don't think they'll pick up Zuma. Can't see it happen.
Not putting my hands down yet. I still believe in this. Okay, thank you.
That one.
Can we drop this one too?
Yeah, you can
all
drop
right.
That one too.
Attach.
If that, how old is Attach now?
17 going into 18. I'm
Goes
sure
into
by
18.
now.
I'm pretty sure he's close to that. That's definitely a. We'll go pick Saints.
Honestly,
I think if you're gonna take anyone from Denial, though, why would you not take Saints?
Can we start with the standings? Can we bring up where everyone's at in the COD League? Because I think the immediate thought is poach who's easy. So looking at,
you want to poach someone who's good as well, like good online.
So
as well.
I want to start from the bottom. Work
Okay,
our way
all right. So go to the
because if
last
FaZe is on the number one team, or if Hecz is on the number one team, FaZe, he's not your easiest option to pull over. But let's start at the bottom. Rise Nation. So you're looking at this squad. No. You got Diabolic, you got Wheats, you got Pac-Man. Nothing there.
No.
Nothing sexy about Rise.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're good players. They're in the COD League, but no, not for Optic Nation. That's not going to happen.
Bring it back. Team Caliber. Sharp. You respect him, but not at that level.
I honestly think Sharp would be the only player on that team.
Theory was kind of on the cut list for TK.
Right.
So I think he's not an option. Looney. Looney's been ridiculously good. He's a West Coast talent. They already have TP on the West Coast. Is Karma on the West Coast right now?
Yep.
So that would be a 3 West Coast squad. I think Looney is a legit Slayer to keep an eye on. We heard his vocal communication at Columbus. The man can get hype. He can be on point. He can direct traffic. That is all the 3 things they're looking for.
Okay.
Moving past TK, we go to Automatic Reload. Burns, Tipsy, none of these are sexy picks, even though they'll pull off the upsets and they'll squeeze in to the bottom half of the bracket. I don't think anyone on AR is on Optic Nation's target list. But then you go to Elevate. Oh, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, just thinking about Team Elevate. Study.
No.
Why?
He hasn't shined for Elevate. If Study and Spacely can't get it done on Elevate, Optic Nation's going to ignore them because they would have grabbed any player that made that team successful. The team's not successful yet.
Okay. I can agree. I just think Study.
And has Study been that good of a Slayer? Can you pull up some stats? Let's go over there and look at his numbers.
I already know you're right, like statistically speaking, but I don't think he's on a team which allows him to do that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
If he was on Nation, potentially maybe we could see that slaying Study come out. I think it's definitely a pick. I know Study gets on with these guys very, very well. Study and Proofy, I mean, they're really good friends. That's something we should definitely think about.
I just got word from our producer. We should reset this conversation real quick for everyone who just joined the stream. And let's see if we can get a lower third up here, Will. Optic Nation has just announced they are releasing their captain. You have the quote up here. Let's bring it up one more time, guys. Welcome to the Esports Report. We talk all things Call of Duty here. And today, we see that Optic Gaming has an announcement from the founder, Hector Rodriguez, a.k.a. Hecz. MBoze will be stepping down as captain of Optic Nation. Chemistry within the team demanded that a change was needed, and the team and organization mutually agree that this was the best decision for the team. MBoze will remain at the Optic House and will continue to entertain his fan base via live streams and YouTube videos. In the meantime, he'll be searching for a new team to compete with for the remainder of the season. For the time being, Optic Nation will be utilizing Sinfola, who Optic Nation picked up as a substitute for Season 1. So they have their fourth for Season 1. What we're talking about now is the next step.
Yep.
First thing that comes to mind is, of course, the COD League, the MLG Advanced Warfare Pro League is set to finish at the end of February. It's always been a March $1 million tournament, so that's what all eyes will be on.
One question we haven't even addressed, where does MBoze go?
Let's get to that after we figure out Optic Nation's hole.
Because I still think there's that whole big bubble there. But going back to, we got to Denial. Bring up the leaderboard again, Will. That'd be great. Because we're going through all the teams and thinking about potential pickups. So far, from TK, Looney, maybe Sharp. Sharp, I feel, for the whole Optic field would be a great pickup. He's all about that YouTube grind. Very, very successful. But I feel he's personality. He's the heart and soul of Team Caliber, though.
Right. He's the backbone of TK, the first captain.
And I know for a fact he's been asked to leave previously, and he's always said no. So whether he would do that, not too sure. We're at Denial right. Oh, sorry, Team Elevate right now. No,
we just canceled out study, so we're at Denial.
We're at Denial.
Attach, Saints, Zuma, all players you go after. You look at the problem with Optic Nation. It was too many objective players, not enough slaying. Denial has 3 slayers, 1 ridiculous objective player. So replays, not an option. But you got to think that Saints, Zuma, and Attach are all great options for Optic Nation. I think Attach is going to be the easiest to pursue. Maybe even Zuma. There was talks of Zuma leaving Denial right after they added Attach at the start of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So I'm looking at those 2. I would originally say Saints, but we all saw what happened when Saints was given an opportunity to play with Optic Gaming.
Right.
He declined that, and I think it was strictly business at the time that he went back to, which later became FaZe Black. Either way, I think you're looking at Zuma and Attach, and honestly, both of those are fantastic assets that you could add to your squad. Zuma has been more impressive so far in Advanced Warfare. Whether that's a role thing with the way Denial plays right now, that's to be determined.
I can agree with that. We'll go over to our next page on the leaderboard. So right now we maybe have 4 players: Looney, Zuma, Attach, Saints. Can't really see any other players coming out from there. But going to Team Envious.
Clayster, number 1 pick.
This is where Clay's your number 1?
Clay's my number 1 pick right now.
Okay. Honestly, I think
I take away the best player from Envy. In the history, when you look back at Optic Gaming or Optic Nation versus Envy, it seems to be Clay causing those problems. He's their clutch search man. He's their vocal guy that they need.
I can see that. Nameless, I wouldn't really say he would be the best fit on that team. JCap, maybe. I
You're
don't
not
know
adding JCap and Proof. You've learned that lesson.
Right, exactly.
And you believe you believe that hype that these 2 can't play together.
For some reason, I still have the thought that they could go for Merc. I don't know why. I genuinely think.
Is Merc leaving Hastra to go back to Optic Gaming? I think,
probably
or
not.
Optic's organization. I think there is still hurt from when Merc got dropped from Optic Gaming, and Merc would say, "No, I'm staying loyal. Screw you guys."
Right. There is always that, but maybe as a player, Proofy's over there as well. I know he's good friends with Proof. He's kind of in a similar position as well to TP.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's about to get married.
When we went to Gfinity, it was Merc who actually joined TP during TP's proposal. So Merc was the wingman.
These guys are they're both trying to get married. I mean, you yourself know. You're engaged. Get married is an expensive time.
I know this struggle
of your life, right? So if you try and cash out, these guys want to win. At that point, Karma just had a baby. TP getting married.
Go back to the roles, though. That's where you got to think. You got to throw all that great, cute stuff on the outside away and look at the numbers.
Cute stuff, man.
Numbers game. The chat said it. JCap was the best player on Envy back at Columbus.
See, out of all those plays, though, I feel like JCap would be the least likely to rejoin Optic Gaming.
Yeah.
Just can't see that one happening at all.
I don't see him moving into the Optic house. They probably want someone who's going to commit.
Right. And see, this goes back to if they'd kept Proof and Clay, when obviously all that was going on, if they'd have moved over to Nation, that team would be looking pretty good right now.
Arctic Hybrid said that Clayster has said in the past that he would team with Optic again.
I mean, if that's true, then, as you said, Puckett, number 1 pick potential right there. Because that team, TP, Karma, Proof, Clay.
Yeah. Clay's played with TP as well, back in the cold days.
Right.
Can't discount that.
Exactly.
You know, that's just some natural chemistry that you have built in.
But do you reckon he's
based on
do you reckon he's
10
over
plus
that,
tournaments together?
Is he over what happened with the Cole dynasty?
Oh, hell yeah. Cole's dead. Cole,
No,
EG,
I know he's dead,
that whole story is dead. He doesn't blame TP for getting removed from the squad.
I think he blames TP, but I know.
So who are you holding him against?
I'm just saying, like, it's always going to be in the back of your head, though, I feel. It's the same with like, the Merc situation. It's always going to be, but no? You're not? No.
No.
All right,
You get burnt by an organization, you understand it. You don't get burnt by the third voice on a team.
All right, well, what about Prof?
Prophecy. Now, Prof is so much better than everyone expected. Ricky could return. I don't see it happening because your Slayers on that team are Parasite, and it's supposed to be Fears or Legal. Ricky's supposed to be kind of in that OBJ support role, so I don't see Ricky as an option. Parasite is definitely not an option for Karma.
No? You don't think so?
This is never going to happen.
I'm not too sure, but no.
And Legal and Fears, I mean, you can love these guys, but they don't have the hype. Legal, he's kind of unproven. He got to the top of Denial, he quit. Then he comes back. He has a great event with Prophecy. Hasn't looked the best online recently. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's actually a lot better than a lot of the big-name players in the game right now. But you can't trust Fears either. He's a guy who's always started hot and then fallen off after 2-3 months.
Yeah, I can't see anyone from that Prof team really joining Nation. So moving up to number 4 team, it's going to be Aware. We already touched on Sender. For me, that's the only player.
Sender and Happy. If you look at Happy's numbers in the Pro League right now,
though.
Happy is that X factor, that young guy that you can bring in and kind of groom, train him. Like, if he has this natural talent to be a top 5 Slayer, a top 10 Slayer in the game right now, think of how much more he'd learn under the tutelage of TP and Karma.
That's very true. Very true indeed. I just feel like Sender is a safer pick.
Oh, yeah.
And these guys, as I said, they're going to be thinking about COD champs. That's where they
Happy's my sexy pick on this squad. He's kind of my
rookie.
He's my rookie wide receiver that you bring in, and you hope he becomes amazing.
But do you want to hope, though?
But I'm going to go for the veteran. I'm going to go and Sender, a guy who's been in the league 2-3 years. He's been around. He's played for a championship. He played Envy at the Season 3 playoffs back on Noble. I think Sender is a guy who, if you look at his last 6 months, it's a lot better than a lot of the other players you would be comparing in the same list.
So I would agree. Moving up, Justice. That's why Enable, 100%. I think he becomes a very valuable option, potentially. Anyone else from that team, though? I can't see much.
Slacked is 18 by March or by that April time period. You don't know when COD Champs is coming, but looking at the past 2 years, it was always around that end of Q1.
Right.
I'm going Slacked first over Enable. No offense to Enable. I just know that Slacked is the clutch man. He's also the anchor on a team. In the previous titles, he was that guy that you just trust to AR and kill everything. I think Slack could do a very good job of that if the other 3 are able to stay aggressive. But maybe they need someone like Enable who's going to be in the trenches leading the charge.
Yeah, I think Enable could be pretty solid pick. And then, of course, moving further up in the teams, we have Optic Gaming. Let's be honest. That's never. There's no Optic Gaming change really there. FaZe, Hecz is the only one I could see. Can I actually see it happening? I think it's a very slim chance of it.
How do you not see Apathy and Slasher on Optic Nation's hit list?
Because
if you offered Slasher, a college student, a guaranteed deal, the opportunity for a guy who just broke out in the last 3 months to skyrocket into stardom. I mean, look at where MBoze was to where MBoze is right now. MBoze was around 30,000 Twitter followers before he joined the Optic Gaming organization. I remember that moment because I was like, something awesome is happening to a guy who deserves it, who's just been outside the spotlight. I feel like this opportunity, even though it's on the B team, quote unquote, for Optic Nation, I think that this FaZe team, they start having a bad time in the middle of Pro League, someone's going to be ready to jump ship.
Right, that's the team that's always arguing too. That's the key. But I guess. But for me, I'm thinking more like just eliminate the complete opposition. Because if you do take Hecz, for me, that's like that is a world championship winning team.
Can you see Nadeshot, Hector, and Hecz in the same car though?
I can, but not in a very good way.
Can you see Hecz and Karma in the same car?
I think that's something that they would need to talk about themselves.
What was the issue between Hecz, TP, Crim6, and Karma that made Karma want to leave EG? Because honestly, I don't know the answer to that. And if it was Karma and Hecz, if that was the issue, Hecz is not an option.
Right. I mean, That's something. But again, on paper, these are just like kind of suggestions which you would say, oh, if he goes into that team, it would be very, very good. But then again, you have to think.
I'm thinking about all things.
Yeah, of course. But again, I think Karma has to then weigh up the decision of, is $100,000 and a 3-time, his 3rd world championship, is that enough to team with Hecz for 3-4 months? Honestly, I'd say yeah. Like, I know Karma's a smart guy. Like, he's thinking about the business side of this decision as well. You've got to say, if he picks up Hecz, they're gonna win a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it's gonna be.
You got $1 million. You got Optic Gaming as the best God squad in the game. I think you're looking at
Karma may be willing to do that. Plus, that gives them that leadership. It gives them kills. It gives them pretty much everything.
Okay, what has to go wrong?
I'm gonna put Slash at that too.
What has to go wrong for FaZe to break up? Like, or does anything have to go wrong? Can you poach a player in FaZe's current state, knowing that you can't play with them until the end of season 1?
This is a team that's top of the
end of February. That's the earliest you start playing with this guy. Maybe you throw him in for a few 2Ks and 5Ks towards the end.
FaZe would need to just like pretty much implode. They would need to kind of just have arguments within themselves, which then affects gameplay. They would need to slip all the way down the leaderboards. That would be the only way I could really see them needing to split up, because I mean, they've just won Columbus. They've won the first event. They look very, very good doing it too. They beat Optic Gaming. Now top of the season 1 league. There's no real reason why they would need to split up, because in their minds they're thinking, well, we're the best team on the game, right?
Yeah.
But from Hex's point of view, he's like, well, because I mean those 3 players are a threat. I think Hecz is going to be thinking.
Just throw this out here. I got it in my ear from the producer. Apparently, our engineering team can see everyone who's watching the stream who's logged in. Apparently, there's a lot of pro players watching the stream right now. I would love to get some of you guys live on the show. Tweet at Benson and I. Let us know. We will get you on stream for an interview here, because I know there's got to be a lot of opinions, not just ours.
So many opinions. And as well, it's worth mentioning, they're the players from the Pro League right now. Honorable mentions, Swanee. I think it would be naive not to mention him. Dido, Neslo, maybe. Who knows? Can you see Fizz up? I think, I don't know why. I think Dido, Neslo from my team, but then Dido had a stint on Optic as well.
Fizz can't slay solid enough.
I know for a fact if Dido got offered that, he would 100% say yes.
Oh, yeah. Dido has
100%.
Has accepted in the past, it sounds like.
Neslo's
going to jump on that. Like, Neslo is guys, I'm ready to retire unless something goes really well for me.
Honestly, from conversations I had with him over the past couple of days, he's like, to be honest, he's really annoyed at himself. He only blames himself for him not being in season 1, and he recognizes, that that's his own fault. There's no one else to blame. He can't go on his life blaming other people. For me, like, that shows self-growth in an individual, which is big. Whether Optic Nation would want to take a risk like that, who knows? Because he's one of those players who I feel at events can sometimes get a little bit volatile. Lets external factors maybe affect his gameplay and his mood. That's not what you want.
Let's take it back to Dido for a minute. And Will, if you have some B-roll of Dido, let's go ahead and roll that. But Dido, this is a guy that was looked at by Optic when they were going through all their team changes. This is a guy who was the first pickup for Evil Geniuses. As soon as Karma left, if you're going to replace a 2-time world champion, you got some big shoes to fill. Out of all the options, EG went after Dido. They saw something in him. He showed us what he can do at the U.S. Championships back in Ghost. He showed us multiple times throughout the year what he can do as an AR player, as well as someone who learned how to play the sub role. Dido back to the bow. How good is he currently in this game? Because honestly, I haven't seen him enough. In your opinion, is he the Slayer that helps Optic Nation get back into the top 6?
With all the other players we've mentioned, no. But if they can't get the other players, yes. He's kind of on that fence, I feel. Like, he genuinely is a very, very talented individual. He's looked pretty good, not gonna lie. We've seen SB and GB Lives just decimate.
You see the energy he brings, too.
Right, he's hype, man. That's why I love Dido. I've always loved watching Dido play, ever since I first casted him over from Black Ops 2. But with the other caliber of plays that I feel Nation have the ability to get, they would favor them over Dido. Dido's still going to be in that list. I would definitely have him in my top 5 players that Nation are looking at. But for me, he's definitely the 5th.
Number 5?
Yeah.
What's your list?
I just wrote down my list.
Can we get Benson's top 5 here, please?
Just my top. Well, have you got yours? Do you want to write down yours real quick? I'll give you a pen and paper. Don't worry, I got you.
Oh my God,
don't try and scapegoat.
I just got these comfy Pomage pockets. Get yours now. MLGProShop.com. Don't worry about what's happening in here.
What are you doing?
I'm playing the accordion. All right.
Will you stop it and just write?
All right, let's do this. All right, my top 5.
My top 5 players. Do you want them in order of how I would, if I was Nation, if I was looking at from number 1 to number 5? Yeah.
No, I want you to go 5 up to 1.
5 up to. Ooh.
If he's ready, send him, Will.
That's good.
Apparently, Mr. X is available today. I got to get this man's opinion.
Did you say Mr. X?
Mr. X.
Hecz.
Oh, Hecz.
Optic Hecz. I was like, what are you saying? Like, are you deaf?
Okay. I apparently cannot hear.
Hecz. Yeah, I would love to get his opinion.
Absolutely.
He's going to be
the man behind the scenes.
Right,
he knows everything that we're speculating about.
That's true. That's very true. My top 5 players would be Dido, Enable, Swanee, Hecz Clay. From 5 to 1.
Oh my goodness. I hear a Hector.
Is that Hector?
I hear him. Let's bring him in.
Oh, hello, Mr. Hector.
And just a few, I can't make a top 5. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I am jumping players on my list.
Right?
So
How hard is it to write down 5 players that you think? Because there's so many options. There really are.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, once again, give us your quick 5 before we get Hector on the call.
So I got Dido, Enable, Swanee, Hecz Clay.
Hecz Clay, 4 and 5. Oh no, that was your 1 and 2.
So Clay is number 1.
Clay's 1.
Clay's 1.
Hecz 2. All right. Well, let's put all of our speculation aside because we have no idea what's going to happen after season 1. For now, we know that MBoze stepping down from that captain role.
Yep.
Sin, who is a substitute, will be playing as a regular member of Optic Nation. Now joining us live via the eSports Report, we got Mr. Hecz. How you doing, Hector?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing really
Have a
good today.
Day. Yeah.
I'm good. I was watching a little ESR, and it always happens when changes like these happen, especially with my team, that everybody starts to speculating and everybody starts, throwing names around, making top 5 lists. So I came here to kill your entertainment.
It's all done.
No, don't be like
Hector,
that.
real quick, if you can, throw on your camera for us.
It is on, is it?
We want to see your face.
Our producer disagrees with your camera.
Give me 2 seconds.
All right, it's coming on shortly
Here we
here. But Hector, you're here to kill the juice, my
Really?
friend. All right, fill us in.
Look,
Outside
I
of the
gave you guys, long enough to run a commercial or two before I said, all right, I'm gonna reach out and try to kill this. But
there we go.
It's not. I mostly wanted to do this because I wanted to clear up a lot of things, especially things on Twitter, right? Decisions like these aren't always easy, and I always say this, but when you're trying to do what we're trying to do, decisions like these have to happen. Late last night, or not late last night, but like at around 4 p.m. I had a conversation with MBoze. MBoze gave me his side of the story. I heard a different side of the story from Karma, Proofy, and TP. So to be as open as possible. I can tell you that MBoze listened to what they had to say. He disagreed with a lot of it. He gave me his opinion, and he's going to release a video given his opinion. MBoze to me is a really good friend. I see a lot of potential in him to be a very passionate entertainer. If anything else, right? He's still good, but it's all about chemistry, and it's all about players being able to work with each other and being able to do that. At the end of the day, I'm not on the front lines. I can say this is a team that's sticking to it. All of you are under contract. You guys are going to do what I say, and that's the end of it. Unfortunately, that's not the way, or unfortunately, it's not as easy as that, right? I listen to everybody, and I make sure that everybody is fairly, listened to, and unfortunately, it just happened to be that them 3 wanted to team with somebody else or try something else without MBoze. MBoze obviously being the guy that he is, and one of the reasons that I consider him a friend and a guy that gets the picture is always very flexible and willing to move, with what we do. We all have to sacrifice. If we go back 3 years when Nadeshot brought on the first competitive team, Rambo and Merck said, you know what, we're gonna do better if we drop Nadeshot and then get I believe it was Big Timer and JCap on the team, or one of those players, right?
Right.
And Nadeshot did the same thing that MBoze is doing, right? Was mature enough, saw the bigger picture, saw the opportunity, saw what we can build, and here we are, 4 years later. I think one of the strongest Call of Duty brands in organizations in Call of Duty, and it's all because of sacrifices, right? And I think that MBoze, I'm happy that MBoze was able to be mature about the situation. Obviously, he has his video coming out where he explains his side of the story. But at the end of the day, majority rules in a sense. So that's what we're gonna try out. I hate that Optic Nation from the start. Even when Nate shot in Black Ops 1, when we had the Optic Nation team, was considered a second team. Nothing in Optic is second to anything. All right. So anything that I put my mind to, or anything that I'm invested in, is never a secondary option, or it's never a second thing. I hold all the investments that I have, and I hold everything all the projects that I have going as equal importance to the organization as each other.
Okay.
So
there's no B team. It's all one org.
It's an Optic gaming team.
That makes sense. Hecz, if you can you refresh your camera for us real quick? It froze there, but so you had the conversation with MBoze. The other three felt differently. We got your face fixed now, I hope.
Yeah, no, but I see one of the guys in there, and it says Hecz is about to blank, and the face that I saw just brought a laugh to me, so
a tickle.
So
sorry to cut you off there. Pick it up there from there. So there's no secondary anything in the Optic organization.
Not in my eyes, and I will work as hard as I can to make sure that that's in the people's eyes. Now, another thing, right, about the poaching the players and trading players and all this, I'm gonna hold TP, Karma, and Proofy to a higher standard. I'm gonna make sure that they do everything that needs to be done properly through the proper channels to make sure that nobody is doing any backdoor dealings or any of the usual shenanigans you see from organizations that go through this, right?
That's
the last thing I want is for this to become a circus. I know what it was like, right? When Scumpy, did what he did, and obviously it put us in we were in shambles, as Nate had once described it, right? Because we didn't know where we were as an organization, because he's such an important asset to Optic, right? And I know what it was like, right? I know the circus that it turned into, and for somebody like me, who, as much as I like to preach and as much as I like to remind everybody that although we do stuff for Optic, we know that Optic without the Call of Duty ecosystem doesn't exist. So for somebody who's nurturing Call of Duty esports as a whole, and somebody who takes Call of Duty esports as serious as anything else, and wants nothing more than to have Call of Duty bump shoulders with the talls, right, with the League of Legends, with the Counter-Strikes, even a 10-year-old game. I mean, granted, obviously we have a different audience, and we're not international like they are. I still want to be able, and I know that we can be able to, we will be able to reach those, those goals if we do everything right. So again, the last thing I want is for something like this to create a circus and diminish the things that we've been building here in Call of Duty as a whole, not just Optic.
Now, Hecz, to be fair, everyone in the Call of Duty community is going to be thinking not just the short term for Season 1. Everyone's going to be looking at that $1 million tournament, which historically has come up at the end of Q1. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is something that's probably going through the minds of the Optic Nation crew. Yep. You guys will be thinking about it as an organization as well, leading up to that event.
Right.
What is the route that Optic Nation is looking to take? Is Sin going to be a guy that is short term? Do you know the long term plan? I mean, I know you obviously don't want to poach anyone without approaching team managers properly, but we've seen deals go down in the past where there's been a transaction from one team to the next.
Right. Again, everything that we do is going to be done through the proper channels if we choose to do something like that. I know there's I want to make sure, again, that this doesn't turn into a circus. So the meeting that I have with these three players tonight is going to pretty much set the pace to how things are going to be done. I'm going to be as strict as possible when it comes to this particular thing. This is something that happened rapidly, right? Yeah, obviously, we've been watching the season go on, and we've seen their performance. And when you have players as good as MBoze, as good as Proofy, as good as TP, and obviously, two-time world champion Karma, what is it if it's not player skill? It's got to be chemistry. So we got to figure something out. What we're gonna do, we don't know yet, but that'll come in the coming days.
Got to ask this question, Hecz, while I have you on the show. The whole chat says aches right now. Optic aches.
That smile cuss.
This, if we thought about it 12 months ago, it would be no question, never happening.
Oh, his camera froze again on my face.
The camera froze one more
All right,
time.
I'm reloading.
Okay.
So again, like with Hecz and I had our differences during Black Ops 1 or whatever, and now that we're talking, we're always under the same realization that he will always be our nemesis.
He's the villain.
Yeah,
He's the villain to the Optic hero.
You know what? He's happy in that role, and we are more than happy with that role too. So we need somebody like that to keep us on our toes. Obviously, winning a championship after like everything that's been going on. It's good for him, and I'm glad that he did that, and will continue to be a thorn on my side for the next 10 years, I hope.
Got it. Well, apparently, according to the chat, it's now Maven who's your official fourth. But for now, the only thing official is
full set of hairs here at Optic Game.
Oh, sorry, Clint. You just got to take it sometimes. Hector, thank you for joining us. Any parting words other than putting some silence to this for now? Sin is the fourth for season 1.
I do want to say, especially to our fans, please be kind. Don't be mean. Don't get on there and say, thank God he's gone. Don't say this, that, or the other, right? It's not easy for our players. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for the organization. The more you add to that, the harder you make it for us, and the harder you make it for us to continue to do what we love to do. Nobody likes to go through this, but unfortunately, these are the sort of things that have to be done. And you never know, right? Hopefully, this station, reflects, a prosperous future. But if it doesn't, then, we'll see.
Hecz, can I ask you one blanket statement?
Yes.
If you are looking, as an organization owner, what are you looking for in a player? So as everyone's thinking about the speculations, what are some of the things that Optic Gaming as an organization would be looking in the official fourth for Optic moving forward?
Well, if it's me talking, then obviously I say something along the lines of, I want a well-spoken individual who manners himself well on Twitter. Right?
Social media. Yeah.
If I'm a player, I'm smart enough not to make those sort of decisions. I'll leave that to the pros.
Got it up. All right. Thank you so much, Hecz. Thank you for coming on the eSports Report. Optic Nation in the news today, making the moves. And I think Hecz touched on something really great there at the end. Don't discredit anything that MBoze has done as a player.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, we still haven't even touched on where we think he could potentially
play. Yeah.
He has some good options. I mean, he's proven throughout the past year and a half, he's a very, very talented individual. This is a player who definitely has that skill.
Going back to Black Ops 2, he's a PAX champion.
Exactly. Back to Unite when he was with Parasite. This is a guy who can definitely play. I just think that team just wasn't working. No. And as you heard Hector say, that's just something which sometimes it happens. It sucks when it does, but it does sometimes happen. So.
And also, if you remember, when Optic Nation first formed, with MBoze the captain, Kill and Miracles being brought on, that team didn't work.
Right.
Over time, they got into the top 3. They really started clicking as a squad, potentially a team that could go to the finals. They always fell just short, but they were always knocking on that door. So MBoze as a player, tons of potential, especially if he takes the objective role to a team that has a lot of great slayers, but not really that objective mindset.
Right. I'm curious to find out where he does go, but we'll probably talk about that.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got more speculations. Of course, I do need to finish my top 5 list. Benson.
Yes, you do. There's the pen.
Also,
do it.
Going to be talking about where he thinks MBoze is going to end up. Let us know in the chat your thoughts. We'll be right back.